Hey, welcome. Today we're going to explore a really simple Zen story that has a lesson so profound it might just change how you think about your own burdens. It's a story all about learning how to live a lighter and, a happier life.
So I want to start by just asking you something. Do you ever feel just completely exhausted? I mean, totally and utterly drained.
And look, I'm not talking about being physically tired after a long day. I'm talking about that feeling of being mentally weighed down, kind of like you're dragging an anchor. We carry around old arguments, past hurts, grudges, sometimes for years. Our bodies might be moving forward, but our minds? They often stay stuck right where the hurt happened. Well, this whole idea is right at the heart of this timeless parable. It's about two monks, a senior one and a junior one, walking back to their monastery. Their journey leads them to a river, and to a simple choice that, it turns out, holds a really powerful lesson. So, as they're walking along, they come up to this river, and it's not just a stream, it's swollen and flowing like crazy. It's a pretty big obstacle on their path home. And right there, by the riverbank, a young woman is standing all alone. She's clearly distressed because, the current is way too strong for her to cross safely by herself. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because you see this immediate conflict. The monks' order had this super strict rule. They were forbidden from touching women. Period. The younger monk, his mind goes straight to that rule. But the older monk, he saw something completely different. He just saw a person in need of help.
So without saying a word, the older monk just walks over to the woman, gently lifts her up onto his shoulders, and starts wading right through those treacherous waters to get to the other side.
He sets her down safely on the far bank. She says thank you, of course. And then the two monks, they just resume their journey. But now, they're walking in complete silence. And this is where the real journey begins. I mean, the action at the river is over, but the story is just getting started. Because, you see, the real weight wasn't the woman he carried. It was the memory of that moment that the younger monk was now carrying. So for hours they just walked. And as time went on, you could see the younger monk was getting more and more upset. His mind was just in turmoil, just replaying that scene over and over again. How could his master have broken their sacred rules like that? Finally, he just couldn't take the silence anymore. He bursts out, "Master, you touched that woman! You carried her! Don't you remember our rules? They forbid us from even touching a woman." The older monk just stops. He turns to his young companion, and he gives him this gentle smile. After a calm little pause, he says, "My son, I left that woman by the river hours ago. Why is it that you are still carrying her?" And boom, that simple question, it reveals the whole deep lesson of this story. How often are we just like that young monk? The actual event is long over, but we just keep carrying the weight of it, replaying it in our minds again and again. So, how do we actually learn to let go? Well, the story kind of suggests a simple path. First, you have to acknowledge the past is over. It only exists in your memory now. Second, you've got to realize that holding on to all that resentment, it only harms you. And third, you have to actively choose to put the burden down. This is such a powerful way to think about it, right? Every single moment you spend replaying a past hurt, you are literally choosing to inflict that pain on yourself all over again. The other person, they've probably moved on. Why haven't you? And here's the real cost. When your mind is all tied up with the baggage of yesterday, there's just no room to experience the joy and the beauty of today. Letting go isn't just about getting over the past, it's about reclaiming your present. So this brings the focus right back to you. We all have our own rivers to cross, right? And we all have our own burdens that we carry for way longer than we ever should have. I want you to just take a second and really think about this. What is the grudge, the mistake, that hurtful comment? What's the woman by the river that you are still carrying around? Go on, give it a name. Because real mental peace, that real freedom, those aren't things that just happen to you. They begin with a conscious decision. The moment you decide to set that burden down is the moment you start to feel lighter. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. We all have our burdens. The only real question is, what are you going to choose to leave behind on the riverbank today?